Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Warning: this video contains spoilers for the 2017 movie Alien Covenant and many of the movies in the Alien franchise. This video may also contain images of bare mature female breasts. You have been warned. Thank you, and please have a nice day. Warning: this video contains images of artwork created by H.R. Giger. These images are known to make some people uncomfortable. Proceed at your own risk.
Hello and welcome to this video. Before we get into it, I would just like to remind everybody that on the weekends I post one video on Saturday, one video on Sunday. They are a full episode of Welcome to Night Vale. And Welcome to Night Vale is just, it's a comedy and horror had a baby. Just a wonderful exploration into what makes us laugh and what scares us, and how what can scare us makes us laugh, and what makes us laugh can scare us. If you want to check it out, check it out. If that's not your thing, don't check it out. Don't watch it. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But on the other side of that coin, if you do like it, check it out. So, without further ado, let's get into this movie. And this movie is Alien Covenant. This is the second movie in the non-Ripley quadrilogy. Though I think with Romulus, the term, the Ripley quadrilogy will probably become the Ripley timeline, because you've got Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, I also call Alien Cubed, Alien the Comedy, or properly titled Alien Resurrection. You have Alien Isolation, the video game that takes place during the Ripley timeline. And now you've got the movie Romulus. So it may evolve into, get away from the term Ripley quadrilogy to Ripley timeline versus non-Ripley timeline. Just throwing that out there. We'll see if it sticks. This movie is kind of, they try to return to the roots. You have characters like Tennessee, played by the comedian, wonderful comedian, Danny McBride. Michael Fassbender David Fassbender. Michael Fassbender. Yeah, Michael Fassbender's his name. I just looked I got my cheat sheet over here. As David, and Walter, another android. He plays two different androids. That's kind of cool. I always thought it was cool, though. And we have Billy Crudup, Carmen Ejogo, Ejogo. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Nathaniel Bean, and a really fairly good cast of other characters. Catherine Waterston as Daniels, our titular Ripley archetype. So there's that. This movie, like I said, kind of your characters like Tennessee. They try to make the, like a common working class grunt out of him, but he's not. He's a pilot. He's not elite like Daniels or Walter or any of the scientists, but he's not an everyman. He's not out patrolling the highways. He's not out picking trash up off the side of the road. He's not working at McDonald's. He's not your grunt. He's kind of in between. And there's several characters like that. So yeah, it's another case of it's hard to relate to these characters. Though this movie and Prometheus did pretty good at the box office, to the data, I think still now, Covenant, of all of the movies made from 1977 all the way up to Covenant, I think Covenant did the worst. I think 20th Century Fox considered Covenant a failure, even though it did pretty good bank. It didn't do as good as Alien or Aliens or Prometheus or any of the other movies. So they considered this a flop. It's not a bad movie. I almost forgot it has Jesse Smollett in it. I wonder how his legal woes are going, or if he's dropped the soap in the shower any. But he does a pretty good job. His character of Rix isn't a bad character. He plays it pretty well. So there's that. I don't know how many Jesse Smollett fans we have out there, but there's that. Smollett. If you want to know more about him, just do a Google search on Jesse Smollett legal problems, and go from there. This movie takes place roughly 10 years after Prometheus. You have basically a ship with everyone in cryosleep except Walter. And Walter's actually a good android. He's not David. He's not got the ego that David was programmed with. But he's still an android. Due to a mishap, the crew has to be awakened. The 900 or so people that are cryogenically frozen for colonization are not affected, but the crew has to be woken up to help fix things around the ship. And finding stuff and waking them up, the captain, who is basically Daniel's husband, is killed. I remember the big to-do about it because the actor that played her husband at the time was this huge, the huge guy, the big stud muffin that was in Hollywood at the time. And they kill him like before he says a single word in the movie. They did a couple featurettes that they uploaded to YouTube and other places with him. The featurette's called The Last Supper, and it's like 6-7 minutes long, and there was a ton of pushback for the way they treated this actor. Though I imagine that he got paid fairly well, and he's probably not complaining himself, or I haven't seen anything. This is This movie is noted as the first Alien movie in the franchise to have an openly gay couple, which is kind of a plus, which kind of harkens back to Aliens. In the scene in Aliens when Ripley is being interrogated by the board at Weyland-Yutani, and it pulls up the in the background it has the crew from the Nostromo, and it has Lambert. It mentions that she was a transgender, that she received a transitional surgery back in 1986. So yeah, that's takes a while sometimes for people to update things, but it took from 86, when we had our first transgender reveal, to 2017 to have our first openly gay couple in the Aliens universe. And it is what it is. Though Cameron was sneaky about it in 1986, because I think if it would have been more openly put out there, people would have freaked. And they would have freaked hard. But let's return back to the movie. Like I said, they're going through space. They have issues. They wake up the crew. The captain's killed. While they're fixing stuff, they find a planet, not the planet they were heading to, that is compatible for human life. And they hear a transmission of Bob Denver's Take Me Home Country Roads. So they immediately decide to go investigate. Instead of sending the information back to Earth or whatever and letting them handle it, they decide on their own that they're going to go check it out. They decide that, screw it, we're going to colonize this planet instead. This is also the movie we find out that this used to be one of the engineers' planets. Its grand scheme in the engineer society is, we don't know. We also find out that David, off screen between movies, came up with Elizabeth Shaw dead, and he was using her to experiment with the black goo and creating aliens. And he also genocided the engineers just because he didn't like the engineers. Thought himself better than the engineers. He also basically pulls the same stunt with the crew of the Covenant. And you have a bunch of shenanigans and fights and reveals that are just great. The Walter being programmed, not really. Walter was programmed a lot different than David was. David was programmed to want to be human, and Walter was programmed to serve humans. So you get that whole dichotomy. You have the fight between Walter and David, in which David ultimately wins and disguises himself as Walter. And once we're near the end of the movie and we get rid of the aliens that have made it to the Covenant in space, and they get rid of them, get them killed off, get them thrown out in space. Daniels is going into cryo sleep And she figures out that Walter isn't Walter, that David has actually assumed the role of Walter. And that's where the movie ends. Everybody had anticipated a sequel. And I think with the release of Romulus, people are kind of happy we didn't get that sequel. I was reading on Screen Rant, I believe it was Screen Rant, that in the first 2 weeks of Romulus's run, it made like 2 to 3 times more money than the entire theatrical run of both Prometheus and Covenant together. But in Romulus, they went back to the dirt poor, the grunts, the working man. And I personally think that's the reason why it's doing so well. It did so well. Depending on when you're watching this, I am making this video about the middle of the 3rd, beginning of the 4th week of Romulus's first theatrical run, and it is emptying people's pocketbooks. I think the only film doing better than Romulus right now is probably Deadpool and Wolverine. So those are your 2 big money makers right now. And like I said, in a year or 2, people aren't going to care, but I'm just trying to get let people know where this is in timeline from the future. If you're in the future, 2, 3, 4 years from now watching this, where we're at. But like I said, that I think in our Alien, what we expect in Alien, what we want in Aliens, is the corporate oppression of the little guy. And I think that they did it in Romulus pretty well. But we'll go more than that when I do my Romulus video. This movie, to me, was better than Prometheus. But that's, like I said, it's my opinion. And feel free to disagree with me. That's cool. It is perfectly legitimate not to like this movie. Or maybe even to like it more than I do. That's legitimate too. The acting was good. The cinematography, the picture, the view, the overall, stream it or put your Blu-ray in, whatever, turn the volume off and just let it play and look at it. It is beautiful. It is just, there are certain movies, and a lot of them are Stanley Kubrick movies or Ridley Scott movies, and now some of the Denis Villeneuve movies, Villeneuve, whatever, that they're just beautiful. They're fantastically beautiful. You can just put them on. We got a pretty good sized TV. Put them on turn the volume off. And when I'm puttering around the house, you can look at it and go, oh, that's this beautiful scenery, beautiful way, just beautiful. It's a beautiful movie. It is Ridley Scott. That's what Ridley Scott does. And that's where I think, in my opinion, his strengths are. So yeah, this is a beautiful movie. Not the strongest, but not the weakest. I would score it above Alien 3, above Alien 4, above Prometheus, below Aliens and Romulus. I think this would probably come in number 4 as far as strong stories go. Like I said, my opinion. And we'll go ahead and wrap this up here. And until next time, be a good human. Be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?